Um, but forms, I think naturally were usually used to be something that you would have to go to a certain website and embed in your
Yeah,
website,
right.
or get that link and they have to go to that website and fill it out and do a survey or whatever. It was almost like a survey. It wasn't even like this is an application form or something.
Yeah.
And I think for a small business, it's so important to, at many points in your life, to get feedback from
Mm-hmm.
people, whether it's, testimonials, and that's what you use your form for. We use it for, a preliminary get to know you kind of form. Um, so many things, right? Sasha's working on a form for the future, for acupuncture. Um, so there's just like many different things where you can collect information, but more than just
Yeah.
like, let me get your email or let me embed this ridiculous form into my website.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's like the main thing about Google that makes it superior to other platforms, because I feel like the only thing you can compare Google Forms to is like a writable PDF, which no one's gonna do. Like no one's gonna make
Right.
a writable PDF and send it to people. But with Google Forms, like you just share the link and then they can just fill everything out, and it's so customized. Like you can choose every question. There's so many different types of questions you can have on there, whether it's like multiple choice, checkbox, drop down menu, short paragraph, long text. I mean,
And
required, not required.
even if you just need someone to turn in, let's say you need 10 bios from 10 different people. And
Yeah.
even just using that is like, you don't need to have 10 different emails. Like, yes, they respond and it tells you they filled out the form, but you just go to the form and it has all recorded 10
In one
responses.
place. Yeah. Whereas
So,
normally you might have like emailed them and said, "Hey, can you send me your bio?"
yeah.
But if you just send them the link to the form, you could send the link to 10 people and then they just all, and now it's all in one place. You don't have to like go through your emails and find them and copy and paste or whatever. So it's just so much easier.
Um, see, that's what I was like. When I signed up for the membership for this event group that I'm in, they had a Google form. And something that I also liked about it was it doesn't seem unprofessional. Because even
Right.
though you just made this form yourself and had put your logo, slapped your logo on it, um, it still, I think, holds up to the standards
I
of
agree. I think the
business.
design of it is well thought out. I think they do a good job at like even having you have the option of like customizing the colors and adding your logo and adding like everything about it is custom. Like the title, the description, all the questions. I mean, it's all the options for the questions. It's just amazing.
I
And I feel
think
like it looks professional, but it also looks familiar. So I feel like some people are a little more like, I don't know, comfortable with it.
right. At first, you're like, oh, Google Forms. Like, I would never use that. And I feel like that's why it's worth bringing up because it's made our lives so much easier. And yes, we've been using it in the form structure, meaning like someone needs to fill this out for a certain purpose and it's more than just one question. But I feel like even if you just use it for one question, just to record all responses, it's very helpful. I think it also, in terms of email etiquette, I think it really helps because let's say you do have a lot of questions for someone. Everybody hates getting long emails. And this
Yeah.
is a way to kind of get away with a long email, but making it look short.
Yeah. Well, I feel like in the past, like I've had, for example, like a job I was applying for, send me an email of like, oh, answer these 10 questions or whatever. And it was just like in the email, like number one, number two. So then I had to like respond and put my answer right after number one and number two. And if it was a Google form, it would have just been like, you just type my answer and then I'm done.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
It's
I love it.
it's it's
Yeah.
definitely
We
grown
think
on us.
small businesses should definitely use it. Um, I think everyone should use it though, depending, I mean, on the context, but I just think it's highly useful.
Sorry, one more thing that I totally forgot because we haven't done it in a long time is if you use it on your iPad or there's a presentation view almost where if you do like I want to see if it shows it, but basically you can have it show a little bit more professionally if you're someone is just coming in and filling out a form rather than just looking at this form, which already looks nice. But I just think it translates well to multiple devices, I guess is
Yeah.
my thing. So if you're at like a live event and someone is signing up for something, it looks nice. I think MailChimp also does this really well, where you can like put a background and it looks like your event background, but then it's like
Yeah.
sign up for this, you know, click
Yeah.
next. But Google Forms also does that. But
And we have one on our link in our bio on our
yes.
Instagram and on our Facebook as well. If anyone's interested in our small business features, feel free to check it out. Tell us how awesome the form is.
Yes. And it's customizable, meaning like, let's say you finish it and you're like, oh no, I messed up one thing or I need to change a question. You don't need to start over. You could just update the form and it's automatically updated everywhere.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
You could just go back in. We could go back in right now and just delete all the questions.
Right.
Updated.
Yeah.
So going into photos, which I haven't used. So I'm gonna let you handle
Yeah,
photos.
so that one was another one. So for the longest time, I used Google Drive for photos in Google Suite. And I would just upload photos to the Google Drive, organize it by folder, the whole thing. And I thought Google Drive was what Google has for photos. Like, I thought that was just it. And then I recently had an issue where my phone was like full, like maxed out on storage, and I had no room for anything. And I think someone told me about Google Photos because of that. And they were like, oh, just get Google Photos on your phone and you can just have your photos in Google Photos and then it's not taking up space on your phone. So I ended up Googling it or YouTubing it to find out like what the whole thing was. And basically, Google Photos is a separate piece of Google Suite. You download the app for it and it's obviously linked to your Gmail. So you sign in that way. And it's separate from Google Drive. So even like anything you've uploaded into Google Drive or anywhere else is not in Google Photos. Like Google Photos is its own separate thing. So its own separate storage and everything else. So I did that. And basically once you sign in, it automatically can tell what photos are on your phone. And all you have to do is hit sync and it'll just sync all the photos from your phone into Google Photos automatically. And you can just delete them off your phone and they'll still be in Google Photos. So you might have to like, you know, download them out of Google Photos and back onto your phone if you're going to use it to post on social media or something. But I mean, it's just basically in its own storage bin,
right,
which is awesome. So I did that to clear a bunch of memory and it was life-changing. Like, so now what I do is I just get all my photos from my phone, sync them into Google Photos, and you can create folders and organize everything in Google Photos as well. So I'll do that and then I'll get onto my computer and just take the folders and drop them on my computer. So I just pull them from Google Photos and onto my computer instead of having to like pull them from my phone onto my computer and then organize them and all that stuff. Again, just in case you're always on your phone or you typically are on your phone more than your computer, I feel like it's useful for that too. And you can organize it. Like I have some folders that are just like a personal folder where it's like photos of me or like one of business, one of acupuncture. So you can just download whatever photo you might need from that folder on Google Photos without it being on your iPhone and taking up a bunch of memory. So I love it. I love it. The only thing is like when you do save the photos to Google Photos, it obviously cuts back a little bit on the resolution or the quality of it. But I mean, it's not noticeable.
Does it only cut back while it's on the internet or when you re-download it?
I think it's even in the re-downloaded file. So if it's like professional photos and stuff, but typically those are going to be on your camera and then you'll put them on your phone. So I don't know. I guess that's different.
Right. And
like this is ideal if it's just photos you've taken on your iPhone and then you're just like wanting to clear up space.
It's definitely convenient because this guy I used to work with, he has 2 kids and I think like the oldest is maybe 12, so they're young, right? And he's like, I have 13,000 photos on my phone and they're only 12. And that's just the photos I have on my phone. He's like, they're not even of me. And he's just like, I just don't know how much more memory I'm going to need to get in this lifetime. Like, he's like, and I refuse to pay for storage.
Right.
Which I feel like now everyone's gotten over that. But
yeah,
I just think it's incredible. 13,000 photos. Some people are here holding on to one photo of their childhood. And this guy's like, 13,000 photos of my kid.
Well, what I like too is because it's connected to your Gmail, which you probably have for your business anyway. Like once you have Google Photos on your phone, you can sign into all your different Gmails and you can sync to each one. So like I'll sign into my personal one and I might sync the photos on my phone that are personal photos into that Gmail. But then if it's like a bunch of stuff we have for our podcast, I'll sign into that email and sync Google Photos to
over
that
there.
stuff. So that way everything's also organized in that sense, instead of it all being on your phone and it's like personal, business, and everything else.
Right.
And it's just like cluttered.
And are you able, is there a limit?
Yeah, but it's like
Ridiculous.
I don't know how many gigs. Yeah. I mean, it's not, I think that's also why, like, I think when you download the photos from your phone into Google Photos, they ask you if you want to cut back on the resolution. You can do like the normal photo size. It doesn't make you do that. But if you cut back, it allows you to use more memory or use more storage or whatever longer.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, definitely that has been a trend over the last few years because just the volume of photos. And I think we wanted to also talk about the G Suite today because I think our habits have changed. And in small businesses back in the 90s, you know, you're not here worrying about the amount of photos you have. Like you probably have your product photos, you know, and then you got a professional photographer to come to this and that event. And that was it. Now we're just dealing with so many things, whether we're just documenting every moment. And so you need to change your habits, you know? It's not efficient for you to just have it on your phone and you have all these templates and whatever. So I need to get on that habit. I haven't gotten Google Photos and it's starting to look a little crazy on my phone.
yeah, it feels so good to just like dump everything over into Google Photos. I'm just like, oh.
It's done. Well, I feel like before we also had these fears, for example, like our childhood photo albums disappearing in a fire. Like, I don't know why, as if fires were just happening in every household,
right.
you know? And now I feel like, well, my baby photos are still physical, you know, but I feel like in the future, if I have kids, it's like, oh, digital, one less thing to worry about.
Right.
Other than the burning house, but.
Yeah. I think it helps too with organizing photos, which I think a lot of people probably struggle with. But it's like if you already have it in Google Photos, I feel like you're more likely to put it into a folder because I feel like the Photos app on the iPhone isn't like super helpful with that. I feel like most people just go to all photos. But in Google Photos, you can just have a different folder.
Right. And without taking up your memory on your phone, because on your phone you can do albums, but and then it's just like crazy the amount of albums you need. I'm like super old school. Oh, we have some comments.
We do? Why don't mine show?
Interesting. So, Workplace. Tell us about Workplace.
Mine does not show that. That's so
interesting. Isn't that for Facebook? I see here. And okay, so moving forward for a second here, I just wanted to talk about the Drive before we ran out of time because the Drive is also one of my favorites. Yeah, so we did talk about losing quality if you get unlimited storage. So I guess if there's an option for Google Photos if you want to keep your quality. I'm going to go sign up for it.
I'll typically put the photos from my phone onto Google Photos, but then I'll upload the photos from Google Photos onto my computer and take them out of Google Photos. So it's like, it depends too on like what photo